Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared, and we have a couple first impressions here. We have a Vero engineering knife and a little something else in there. But first, let's check out this Twosun TS215 Jelly Jerry design. My thumb's healing up very fast, guys, so no worries. I'm starting to use it again, and I just have to be a little careful, but making it happen, making it work. All right, so 14C 28M blade steel. I really liked the design, all right? So that's why I bought it. And I got this one from technically eBay, but I bought it outright. Coming from White Mountain Knives, I believe, is where it actually came from. So I got it really quick, and I noticed when I bought it, you know, it wasn't coming from China, it was coming from the United States, so I knew I was gonna get it really quick, and then I found out it was just actually coming from White Mountain Knives. Now I actually have a discount code for White Mountain Knives now. Holy cow, I finally have a discount code for White Mountain Knives. Neeves Knives is the 10% discount code. Now, let's talk about this though. Titanium, all the bells and whistles. We have steel lock bar insert on the titanium, or, you know, in the titanium, so it's steel on steel lockup. We have a titanium milled pocket clip. Jelly Jerry's clips work very well. Carbon fiber overlay, or inlay, whatever you want to call it, I guess. Micro milling on the titanium. I do like Twosun's micro milling. Titanium backspacer, and overall, you know, it's a good knife. But I do have a couple small little details. So in the hand, it is comfortable. It's very comfortable. I like the way it feels in the hand. I can get up nice and close to the blade. You know, all the grips, you know, the way the handle is shaped works very well. I can easily do, you know, basic stuff with the tip. Access to the lock bar is not bad. And it is very smooth. The whole, it's kind of weird because it's easy to get to and tight at the same time. And when I say tight, I just mean, you know, how tight it is to the scales and how easy it is to get to. Even left-handed, I can easily get to it. Now, left-handed, it's pretty good because it's just like as if it was a liner lock. It's very easy to get to left-handed. But it's like, if I was gonna put it on, you know, from like 100% perfect access to, you know, 0 meaning no access, it's like at 98%. So it's really, really good. And, you know, I can even technically do it with my thumb. So good access to the hole, pretty good access, and they chamfered this edge pretty good. Now, the top flipper, this is where we start jumping into one of my little issues. It's good deployment, okay? And that kind of hurts, so I'm not gonna do that too many times, but it's easy to do, but that was me right there, guys. That wasn't the knife. It's easy to do, however, they do the biggest sin you can do on a front flipper, and I don't understand why we're still doing this. If you're gonna do a front flipper, just do it correctly, do it right. What is one of the things you have to do when you do a front flipper? You have to get your jimping right. The jimping does not go to the top of the flipper. So the part where you're going to be using the most is slick. Now, does that mean I can't flip it? Of course not. I can start my pressure right here, right, underneath the very top of it, and I can go from right there. But it's like, I don't know why we're still doing this. And the next thing, it's spread apart jimping. Now, like I said, it does work just fine. I can flip it, no problems. It's not that big of a deal, but when you're gonna do it, you might as well just do it great, right? Instead of doing it good, which this is good, but why not go to great? All it takes is some fine jimping, which I know Twosun does out of the factory, and to bring the jimping all the way up to the top of the flipper tab. That would take this thing over the top because it's a good front flipper. It front flips good, especially if you have a functioning thumb. It functions really good. However, it's just like those little details. Now, the next thing, when I unlock it, the detent ball starts right there, and this has a ramp. Now, I like the Twosun uses ramps. Another however, though, a ramp makes it to where instead of it just jumping up on the blade, it stretches the jumping point. So when I hit the detent ball, now in order for me to get past it, it goes all the way to there. Instead of just jumping from right here to there, right? It would be on the blade if there was no ramp. But there's a ramp. So since there's a ramp, it doesn't stop till right there. And then I'm past. Now, since there's no actual flipper tab, it's easy to get past. Very easy. I just let it go down and hit my finger. So not that big of a deal. But if you're left-handed, now you wind up hitting the detent ball. You got to make sure you're past it. Is it that tough to get past? No, it's not. But these are just little details that take a knife from good to great. And you know, they're very easy to conquer. All they had to do is make an early detent, right? Make it where when you unlock it, the detent starts right there. The ramp would have stopped right there. Then it would be no issues at all. Or just don't put a ramp in, which this still has a late detent, especially if it has a ramp. Now, other details, geometry, pretty good. I'm not going to complain about the geometry. I will complain about this choil a little bit. They did the plunge grind down to the edge, so when you sharpen it, it will get a smile. There's no way around it, so this is a smiler. Now, is that big of a deal? It's not a horrible big deal because of it being a slow tapering one. It's not like it's going to be hitting your stone or anything, but you're going to have a tiny, tiny smile, and eventually it will wind up becoming a big smile over time. Clip works great. It is centered. I can barely touch the tip. That's not that big of a deal. I'm not even gonna try to complain about that, but I can if I try. Detent is solid. Great detent. The dropping deployment, very smooth. It will get even smoother. Twosuns after about a week, sometimes even faster, they wind up getting very, very smooth. The satin finish is really nice. Now, Twosun with their satin finish, that tends to be fingerprinty. Let me wipe this down. But this one's not crazy like I see some of them. So this one's actually a little bit better than some of the ones I see, but you can see how scratchy and it's 14C does not do good with a fine satin. If you're gonna do a satin on 14C, it needs to be an aggressive satin. Something like this. I know it's got stuff on the blade, but just look at the satin finish. I'm not gonna clean it off to show you, but see how much heavier that satin finish is than this. This is more reflective. But anyways, cool knife, good solid knife, comfortable, great blade shape. It's going to be a great blade shape for EDC. The ergos are really nice, and they did a lot of things great on this. The carbon fiber is very good quality. It's inlaid really nicely, both sides too. Love the micro milling, adds a little bit of a tactile feel. Now I noticed they used a different pivot, which I don't think I've seen them use this pivot yet. It's got like a pivot collar on it, and it's more of a button screw. Never seen that. They use the T6 on the top of the Schmitty right there, and it almost appears like this is a reversible clip, but there's a cutout, I believe. Yeah, there's a little bit of a cutout on the carbon fiber, so it's not a reversible clip. I don't think so. And one other little detail, just really quick, and we'll get to the Vero. These corners are sharp, right here. Why not chamfer that edge? See, these little details, in some of the knives, not all, but you know, obviously they knock some models out of the park, but then there's just some that, man, it's such a great design, and if they would have just conquered these little tiny details, it would be a super premium knife. But this corner right here. Like, look at how wide this is right here. Why not chamfer that edge? Now you won't have this corner poking you in the hand, especially if you're trying to use it left-handed, and it'll be even more comfortable in the hand because instead of this, you know, this edge being super thick, it'll be more narrow right there. And if you guys know what I'm talking about, where they take a milled clip and put an angle right there. Kind of like, let me grab a clip really quick. Kind of like this, where it's got an angle right there, or like this. See how it's angled right there? Anyways, let's get to this Vero. So first off, we have, shout out to Lefty EDC, by the way. This stuff came from him. So go and check out Lefty EDC. Awesome dude. Good friend. Now, Vero, let's get into this stuff. All right, so first off, we have one of their little pry bars. I've never gotten to try one of their little pry bars, and you can see we got more O-rings and more bits in there. The bits go at the end right here. It is magnetic, and you see we have the bits right there. So this is the small one. They do come in a larger version as well. So if you look at little mini pry bars and you say, man, these things are just too tiny, you can't even use them. Like, what are they even good for, you know? Like, because they're just too small, you can't get no leverage behind it. Well, they make a large one, which is like this long. So if you're wanting to carry a pry bar that is extremely useful, that is the way to go. Now, this little guy, though, I can actually, because I can get pretty good leverage into that if I, you know, as long as it's not too crazy what I'm prying apart. But, you know, picking some scraping, light duty prying, this thing is a perfect size for little things like that. Now, you also have these little bits, not the easiest to get to. I wish there was a way to push them out, but I guess you just roll this over or down like this. Or maybe put this one back and then just roll this one down. I can probably just pry it out. Yeah, I can just pry it out. Okay. Anyways, so then you take and let's feel the magnet. Not a super strong magnet, but perfectly adequate. And then you can use, I would personally keep T8s and T6s in there. Right now we have a Phillips and a flat in there, but in the can, you do have some torque bits in there. So that's what I would personally keep on there. Now, and then when you're done, you just slip it right back in there. Bam, bam. Perfect. It'd be cool if there was a little magnet in there too, but I don't know. Maybe that would be bad because it'd be attaching to things. And in this case, it's not magnetizing to anything. So, but yeah, very cool. I love that it's titanium. The clip looks like it'll work pretty good. I haven't tested it. I'm curious how these rubber bands would feel going in and out. That's the one problem I see. I'm not sure if the big one's the same way or not. Lefty EDC, he's got a big one and he loves it. So, but I do like having an improvising driver on me. And right now I use my Knife Buddy. It's it has a little pry bar on it. You know, I have my bits in there, and I use this thing constantly. A little nail puller. I don't really use that, but I guess you could still use it as a pry bar as well, and a bottle opener and stuff. You know, and then it's got a little wrench right there. So pretty cool. Let's check out this knife now. So I know we've been going for a long time, and we're finally getting to this baby. Shout out to Vero Knives. Now, this is the little titanium double detent version, and it is small and compact. This is definitely a small knife. Now, we have the reverse flick, no locking mechanism, and then it's a double detent, so it doesn't lock. The action is decent, but the one issue I have with it, right off the bat, the detent is light. Like, I know it's a double detent, but if you had just and I mean a tiny bit stronger, not much, but solid knife and totally could use it. I mean, it's definitely doable. Now, if we look inside here really quick, let's see if we can see it. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. We'll see if we can see this. Okay, so you see the detent balls falling right there. There's the detent balls. Now they fell in place. You see how this side falls all the way in place, and then this one barely does. I think if they both fully dropped in, it would be a solid detent. Come on. You can see how the one side is all the way in and the other one's not. But I think that would totally fix the issue. And it's not even an issue. So when you deploy it, it does securely lock up with that detent. Side to side play, there's none. Obviously, does, you know, up and down doesn't really matter, but when you get it in the up and down position, you just give it a little bit of force on the spine, and once you get it down pat, you'll close it perfectly every single time. But I do think if it was slightly stronger, it would possibly lock up in the closed position even better and not tap its way out where you go like that and it taps out. But what possibly is the issue, and the reason why they have it the way it is because when it does break, they want it to be very smooth on the drop. If that detent ball is, well, I don't know, because maybe it's just the hole on this side that's preventing it from falling into place, and the pressure is not a big deal. But you got to remember, though, when it comes out of the detent, we have those little liners. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but we have those little liners that actually put pressure into that detent ball, exactly where that detent ball is landing. If you can see it, there's little liners. That's, you know, essentially the lock bar, but it's the detents, you know, so that's going to ride on the blade and make it, depending on the pressure, it's going to make it smooth. Now, over time, that will get smoother and smoother because the ceramic ball will break in a detent track as it works its way onto the blade. But I like it, man. I like it quite a bit. I can get really nice pinch grips with it for just doing light duty stuff, you know, just where you just take your knife out and use it really quick and throw it back in your pocket. This thing's fantastic. And, you know, let's be honest, that's 90% of what people use their knives for. The clip, lots of tension on the clip. I like how they bent it over right here. So in the hand, I can feel it, but it's not like poking me to death, but I do feel it a little bit. But I'm most likely not going to be using this knife and this grip very often. It'll most likely be like this or like this. So very, very cool though. I love the titanium and the stone washed, like how it's just titanium, or sorry, stone washed across everything, across the titanium and the blade. Looks really good. The hole has a nice edge on it, so it does grip you back. You don't slip out of it at all. Great access to the deployment. Geometry is pretty decent for such a small knife. It could be a hollow grind that would take it over, you know, take it to the next level for sure. But yeah, fantastic little knife. I mean, it's definitely something I could see a lot of people appreciating. Number 326. And then Vero, I don't see the steel. I imagine it's M390 though. Nice and centered, I think it is. If it's off, it's barely off. But yeah, very cool though. I am looking forward to carrying this for a few days and testing it out and seeing how it does. I'll put a new edge on it for them because it definitely 100% needs a new edge. I mean, so we'll get that tuned up for them. I am liking it quite a bit, and I showed it to Kara. Kara's loving it. Now, the one thing I can absolutely appreciate is the jimping going all the way around the corner, and it's not the fine jimping, but this is very sharp jimping, so this is the type of jimping you want on a front flipper. So very cool. But there you guys go, and the testing and review coming soon. Peace.